No, you not can do. Because you not can do 1 minute.
So I think of the fight. Getting dropped once again, it's not the end of the world. People get dropped in fights and still win them.
The moment Duke McKenzie spoke,
is what it is.
the internet detonated. One leaked sparring clip, just seconds long, was enough to set off a pre-fight earthquake. Before a bell was rung, before a press conference or a face-off could be staged, Jake Paul was already trending worldwide for all the wrong reasons. The footage of him getting dropped in sparring didn't just go viral, it became a global meme engine. Fans were laughing, fighters were reacting, and critics were circling like sharks who'd smelled blood. What was supposed to be controlled, behind-closed-doors practice instantly transformed into a public dissection of Paul's skills, composure, and readiness. Social media showed no mercy. Within minutes, timelines overflowed with reaction videos, slowed-down replays, and waves of trolling. The self-proclaimed future
He's a soft touch. He's waiting to get knocked out. So, the promoter says to himself, right, he scratches his head and says, you know what, I need to get my fighter a couple of easy ones just to get his confidence back so he can bring him back to the fore, bring him back to everybody's imagination. Everybody sees him knocking somebody out, looking good doing it. So, this guy's made for Anthony Joshua. It'll be another Ngannou early night for Joshua.
Boxing superstar found himself the punchline of his own promotional machine. Every frame of the knockout was being examined like evidence in a crime scene. People zoomed in, analyzed footwork, picked apart his guard, and debated whether Paul should even be entertaining the idea of fighting elite.
You have to give him credit, and I'm a big fan. I don't want to. You know, when I watched it back, I was like, I saw a few people. Oh, Eddie's a hater. I'm not a hater. I think he's the goods. But I don't think that was compared to
heavyweights. And then Duke McKenzie threw gasoline on the inferno. The former champion didn't hesitate. He called Paul a soft touch and accused promoters of engineering easy wins for him. To McKenzie, the sparring KO wasn't just embarrassing. It exposed what insiders...
Everybody's got in his sparring camp. I personally don't believe that you can actually... The sparring partners he's got right now, they're pushing him to be...
had warned about for years. Jake Paul, he said, is being marketed like a product, not built like a real fighter. And the moment he stands in front of a genuine heavyweight threat, the illusion shatters. Fans erupted into arguments, roasting sessions, and replays of every bold claim Paul has ever made.
And I said, look, if you're to believe that he had the best training camp, his legs have gone. And if I've got it wrong...
The noise was deafening and the pressure suffocating. McKenzie's criticism didn't just sting, it set the tone for the entire fallout. Even Eddie Hearn, one of the few major promoters who has consistently acknowledged Paul's improvement, couldn't soften the blow. He admitted Paul has talent, but the sparring session clearly lacked competitiveness. To Hearn, the viral
things that he'd been dropped in the ring in the gym and stuff like that. But that's okay too, because I took a couple spills, you know, little slips in the ring and the gym. That's okay, but we're gonna see. This is gonna
clip magnified every lingering doubt about Paul's readiness. And when the conversation shifted to a potential matchup with Anthony Joshua, the footage began to look like incriminating evidence. Derek Chisora went even harder. To him, the KO wasn't a fluke. It was a warning sign.
Be exciting.
Does he have the power to knock out Joshua?
No, he hasn't got the power to knock out Joshua.
How does that fight end?
Jake Paul going in an ambulance, bro.
He pointed out the flaws instantly. Poor movement, loose defense, shaky resilience. If Jake struggled that badly in controlled sparring, Chisora argued, there was no universe in which he would survive Joshua's power. The gap in experience and physicality was simply too massive.
For Jake Paul going into a fight with Anthony Joshua, to me, is absurd. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a legitimate two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He may have got destroyed by Daniel Dubois, but notwithstanding, there's nothing physically wrong with Anthony Joshua that he can't execute. Mentally, he might be in a little bit of a difficult position.
Johnny Nelson echoed the criticism with blunt honesty. He said Jake's legs were already gone before the punch landed. A clear red flag. His stamina looked shaky. His composure evaporated, and his defense offered little protection. Against Joshua, Nelson warned, those weaknesses wouldn't just be exposed, they'd be punished brutally. Even Shannon Briggs, who tried to give Paul some fighter-to-fighter empathy, couldn't defend what the clip showed. Yes, he admitted, everybody has rough rounds. But this wasn't a harmless slip. The KO revealed balance problems.
If he wants to get 100 million and not even break sweat, you know, you take the fight. Is it going to enhance his stock as the world's #1 contender? Not at all, because nobody's going to take Jake Paul seriously. But on the other hand, should I don't even want to play devil's advocate. What if Joshua seriously hurts this guy, and puts this guy
defensive holes and wavering composure? Briggs knows the difference between a teachable moment and a glaring issue, and this was the latter. If Paul stepped in with Joshua without fixing those flaws, Briggs warned, the consequences could be ugly. Chisora doubled down again, insisting Paul simply doesn't have the firepower to trouble someone like Joshua. To him, the sparring KO wasn't random, it was a preview of what would happen under real lights. If Jake couldn't move or defend himself during sparring, Joshua would dismantle him without effort. It wouldn't be a fight, it would be a demolition. Simon Jordan joined the court.
I can beat Jake Paul. And excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past the minute.
Calling the matchup absurd and claiming the sparring footage already tells the whole story. Conditioning, power, technique, ring IQ, all of it, he said, falls drastically short of what's needed against a top heavyweight. In Jordan's eyes, the hype surrounding Jake Paul was collapsing under the weight of reality before fight week even started. McKenzie re-entered the conversation with an even harsher message. He argued that while Paul may see the fight as an easy payday, reality doesn't bend to Instagram narratives. The sparring clip, he said, exposed cracks in Paul's defense, timing, and durability. Cracks that could become canyons against someone with Joshua's experience.
But I said to Jake Paul, you ain't in a box, mate, and this ain't David Blaine. I said, so just be careful, because AJ will take your head clean off your shoulders, and it's dangerous. And you take on that responsibility, and we all have to, so we got to think about that. But this is Anthony fighting a top 50 cruiserweight in the world. It's not something that we would normally do.
And knockout power. This wasn't about showmanship anymore. It was about survival. Tommy Fury, who has already beaten Paul in the ring, didn't hold back either. He said the sparring KO revealed Paul's limits more clearly than anything before. Even with shorter rounds, smaller gloves, or restricted movement, Fury claimed Joshua could end the fight in seconds. To him, the matchup was the ultimate clash between hype and reality would win quickly, violently, and without debate. And Eddie Hearn, circling back, added one more warning: Jake Paul stepping into the ring under these conditions. Stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua isn't just a leap.
The thing is crazy.
Is that a real conversation?
Jake's a fucking lunatic, and it's probably real. I saw Joshua knock out Francis Ngannou, and the guy was like out cold for 5 minutes. And this is a guy who had never been knocked down, let alone knocked out.
If he steps in the ring with him, and actually a bell rings and there are punches thrown, every bit of Jake Paul is not a real boxer conversation is gone.
For Jake Paul, it's a plunge off a cliff. Eddie Hearn didn't sugarcoat it. Joshua's power, precision, and experience form a lethal combination, and if Paul struggled under sparring pressure, how could he possibly handle the real thing? Hearn made it clear, this isn't show business. It's danger, serious danger. Logan Paul's reaction only deepened the crisis. Watching Joshua knock out Francis Ngannou was intimidating enough, but watching his own brother get dropped in sparring was different. Logan admitted what fans were already saying. Jake's persona and social media armor can't shield him from heavyweight power. The footage revealed too much: shaky timing, flimsy defense, and questionable resilience. In Logan's eyes, Jake, stepping in with Joshua, isn't entertainment. It's a disaster loading. Derek Chisora may have said it best: Jake Paul has no margin for error. If the fight goes beyond a couple of rounds, Chisora believes it will spiral into humiliation. Joshua has folded elite heavyweights.
I told Anthony, I already messaged Anthony, I was like, listen, I'll tell you what, I said to AJ, if this goes past 5 rounds, everybody's going to be having a go at you, because you can't go past 5 rounds with this kid. It has to go past 1 round or 2 rounds. Past beyond 4 or 5 rounds, you know, people are going to be doubting you as a fighter himself. So he has to smoke him out like what he did Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia in 1 round.
What would he do to a fighter still learning on the job? To Chisora, this isn't hype versus hype. It's hype versus reality, and reality is unforgiving. Frank Warren added a clinical breakdown. Yes, Jake is a licensed boxer. No, that doesn't mean he's ready. Warren stressed that the sparring KO exposed gaps far too large to overlook, and warned that underestimating Joshua borders on reckless. This fight isn't a spectacle. It's a proving ground where mistakes have consequences. McKenzie closed the conversation with a verdict that echoed across the internet. Jake Paul is not ready, mentally, physically, or technically. The KO wasn't a bad moment. It was a preview of what happens when promotion collides with world-class talent. One mistake could change Paul's career forever. And that's the narrative now dominating the online world. What was supposed to be a private sparring session has turned into a public warning. Fans are buzzing, memes are multiplying, and analysts are unanimous.
It's a dangerous fight. Of course, it's a dangerous fight, but I'm not here to be there selling their show. I've got no interest in the fighters from that perspective. I just think that he is a licensed boxer. He's trained. He knows what he's getting involved with. He's not an idiot, and he knows what he's going to be up against. But he must believe in it.
Jake Paul is walking into danger with his guard wide open. For more inside scoops, leaked footage breakdowns, and unfiltered fight analysis, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because this story is only heating up.